Good afternoon. Welcome to a new week from the KUOW newsroom. This is Seattle Now. I'm Paige Browning with a roundup of today's top stories. It's Monday, September 8th. I've got a quick ask for you before we dive into the news. On Seattle Now, we bring you the news you need to know twice a day. And you get this show thanks to an entire newsroom of local journalists at KUOW who are following stories across the city. You hear them all the time. Sammy West, Gustavo Sugrero, Casey Martin, Ruby DeLuna, Amy Radel, and so on and so on. This week, it's KUOW's Fall Fund Drive, the time every year where we're on the air and on the pod asking listeners for support. And now that federal funding for public media is eliminated, we now rely almost entirely on listeners and local businesses. Please join as a monthly donor today. The donation link is in the show notes. Thanks. Starting with our big story today, environmental groups and members of Northwest tribes have embarked on a 2-week totem pole journey through the region. Amy Radel explains.
The tour's organizers are fighting the Trump administration's proposed repeal of the roadless rule, which prohibits road building and logging on 45 million acres of national forest lands. Kurt Russo is executive director of SASILA, which is the Lummi word for our grandmother. He says his organization is traveling through Washington, Oregon, and California to support forests and biodiversity.
These big old trees do so much just in standing for us. So we need to stand up for them.
The group will rally at the state capitol in Olympia this afternoon. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is accepting public comment on the repeal. Officials say the change will promote fire suppression and economic growth. Amy Radel, KUOW News.
In other forest news, 12 small fires were started by lightning over the weekend in the Mount Baker Snoqualmie National Forest, thanks to the thunderstorms that rumbled through. The largest is about 6 acres, burning northwest of Leavenworth on Dirty Face Mountain. Meanwhile, in the other direction, there are go-now evacuation orders northeast of Leavenworth because of the lower Sugarloaf fire. It's burned approximately 10,000 acres, and evac orders are affecting people in Ardenvoire and the Entiat River Valley. 2 larger fires continue to smoke up parts of the region. By Mount Rainier, the Wildcat Fire has burned nearly 7,600 acres, and the Bear Gulch Fire is still sized at 10,000 acres on the Olympic Peninsula. On the Trump beat today, our neighboring city, Portland, is drawing critical attention from President Donald Trump. He told reporters late last week the National Guard may be needed to address protests there. Courtney Sherwood reports.
President Donald Trump has already deployed National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. and Los Angeles, he says, to fight crime and disorder in those cities. Now he says he's adding Portland to the list of cities that might be next. That's after a Fox News report this week described alleged chaos at Portland's Immigration and Customs Enforcement building. Opponents to the president's immigration policies have regularly demonstrated there. They've sprayed the building with graffiti and shouted insults at officials.
We're going to wipe them out. They've ruined that city. What they've done to that place is it's like living in hell.
Trump alleged without evidence that the people who've recently been protesting outside the city's ICE building are paid agitators. He said he believes the National Guard would be able to stop those protests. Courtney Sherwood reporting.
Here in local politics, calls for an audit to address an audit. King County Councilmember Claudia Balducci is requesting an audit of all contracts that the Department of Community and Human Services has. That's because last month, a review of some but not all of their contracts turned up mismanagement and possibly fraud. Balducci, who's running for county executive, vows immediate action.
We do not know the extent of the problem. This was an audit of selected contracts, not of the entire program nor the entire department.
Balducci's opponent, Gurmai Zahalai, is also calling for accountability. After the report came out, he vowed to proactively reform county government and prevent these kinds of failures before they happen. Seattle's favorite bird is in the hall. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame inducted the one, the only, the GOAT, Sue Bird, on Saturday. Bird has a laundry list of accomplishments, including holding the WNBA career record for most assists and most games played. But she showed up for this great honor with humility, thanking her family, coaches, and teammates at the enshrinement ceremony.
This Hall of Fame induction isn't just about individual achievement. It's about joining a community where I'll always belong, a belonging that can never be taken away. In other words, I'll close with something point guards don't often get to say. Thank you for the assist.
Bird is one of Seattle's most accomplished athletes. She helped the Storm win 4 championship titles in her 21 seasons on the team and was selected for the All-Star Game 13 times and has also won 5 Olympic gold medals. By the way, the final game of the Storm's regular season is tomorrow night, and it's a big one for the Storm. If they win, that will punch their ticket to the playoffs. If they lose, they have to bank on Los Angeles losing this week to get a playoff invite, or their season is done. Storm versus Golden State Valkyries Tuesday at Climate Pledge Arena. A few blocks away, downtown Seattle boosters and the mayor will reveal their latest plans to revitalize downtown tomorrow. Mayor Bruce Harrell has made this one of his key priorities during his first term. His office says tomorrow's announcement will include plans for retail growth and defining what downtown's role is for the entire city. In some crime news that's catching attention, the man known as Spokane's South Hill rapist may get a chance at freedom. Kevin KUOW terrorized Spokane in the 1970s and 80s with more than a dozen accusations against him. But now, Washington's Department of Social and Health Services has told state legislators that KUOW will receive an unconditional release hearing October 2nd in Spokane County. Ritzville Republican Senator Mark Schessler is unhappy that the news was only shared with legislators, not the public as a whole.
This was probably the worst criminal ever through Spokane, and DSHS shrugs it off. It's okay, he's old and tired, he won't hurt anything. For what this terrible creature did, it's just wrong.
KUOW served a 25-year sentence at the state penitentiary in Walla Walla before being moved to a state facility for sex offenders on McNeil Island. In state politics, conservative activist and initiative sponsor Brian Haywood is back in the initiative business. He's preparing 2 ballot measures surrounding gender and identity. The first would require student athletes to provide a birth certificate that states their gender at birth and compete on the teams designated for that gender. The second is to bring back his so-called Parents' Bill of Rights. He proposed it and the legislature passed it in 2024, but then the legislature passed a new law in 2025 to change it.
They gutted specifically the parts that require schools to notify and not keep secrets from parents about things going on at the schools. So we're doing a straight-up repeal of that law.
The ballot measures, if they receive enough signatures, would be presented to the legislature. And we'll end on some business news. Elon Musk is bringing his AI startup to Seattle. We don't know yet where xAI's Seattle office will be, but GeekWire reports there are job postings online. The move comes amid Musk's ongoing lawsuit against Microsoft. He's accused the Redmond company and OpenAI of forming an anti-competitive monopoly. Next time on Seattle Now, 2 firefighters working on the Bear Gulch fire were recently arrested by federal immigration authorities. Now, many wildfire veterans believe the crew bosses handed the men over to Customs and Border Patrol.
Wildfires are secure areas. There's barricades, checkpoints. So for Border Patrol to know where these teams were and to get access to that spot, a lot of people are asking whether this incident management team had a role in kind of helping set that up.
Hear that Tuesday morning. And that's all for today from the KUOW Newsroom in Seattle. Our producer is Brooklyn Jamerson Flowers, and I'm Paige Browning. Seattle Now and KUOW are members of the NPR network. I hope your week is off to a great start. See you soon.